In Lucas, just 100 years ago from today, a tornado swept through portions of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, taking the lives of 695 people, becoming the deadliest tornado in U.S. history. It would later be dubbed the Tri-State Tornado.
Oh my God!
Tornadoes are a familiar sight across Missouri. This is known all too well, as just last Friday, various tornadoes were confirmed across the state, leading to 13 deaths. On March 18, 1925, a tornado would span approximately 219 miles, averaging a width of 3/4 of a mile, injuring 2,027 people and killing 695. When breaking down the track of the Tri-State Tornado and the notable facts, we would see the system touch down just after 1 o'clock northeast of Eminence, Missouri, where wind speeds would be over 200 miles per hour, giving it that F5 rating. Now, as it approached Bollinger County, Missouri, 32 school children would be injured in 2 school districts. At times, this thing would be over 1 mile in the width, but it averaged about 3/4 of a mile. Very wide system. Eventually, it barreled its way into southern Illinois, where the travel speed was close to 62 miles per hour and 13 counties were affected. Now, the end time, sometime after 4 o'clock, not exactly known, and this whole entire system would last over 3.5 hours.
The devastating twister, known as the Tri-State Tornado, began in Missouri around 1 p.m.
So we know that the tornado started somewhere near Ellington, Missouri. That's in southeast Missouri, and it quickly raced northeast through basically the entire state of Illinois from west to east, and it lifted somewhere in Indiana. All said and done, it was a 219-mile track.
That's Kevin Deitch. He's a warning coordination meteorologist at the National Weather Service. He says the tornado still holds records for the longest path and duration.
The duration of the tornado was actually 3.5 hours long. You think of a typical tornado that we would see 1, 5, maybe 10 minutes is kind of the more usual time frame. So for a tornado to be on the ground for 3.5 hours, this just shows the power that this tornado had.
The tornado is estimated to have been around 3/4 of a mile wide, so this stock footage of smaller tornadoes can't do it justice. No known photos or videos of the storm exist. The Tri-State Tornado began by destroying the town of Annapolis, Missouri, and several others, leaving at least a dozen dead. Christopher Allen Gordon, the director of library and collections at the Missouri Historical Society, says the storm then went over state lines.
And as it was moving, it seems to have built in intensity.
Under a strangely dim sky, a vast Missouri farmland stretches, the air thick with unnatural stillness. Farmers pause, sensing the ominous quiet, their work momentarily forgotten. Children walk home, their chatter subdued, the eerie silence amplifying their hushed footsteps. The sky, a bruised, metallic gray, seems to swallow the sunlight, casting a pall over the fields. An unsettling calm blankets the landscape, a prelude to an unknown event. Inside the weather station, meteorologists huddle, their faces tight with confusion as instruments flicker wildly. The temperature gauge climbs alarmingly, wind shear data spikes, defying all known parameters. On the radar screen, a faint disturbance barely registers, a ghost in the machine. A scientist stares intently at the data, his voice laced with disbelief. I've never seen anything like it. The air crackles with unseen energy, the calm before a storm unlike any other. Ellington, a sleepy Missouri town, basks in the sun. Children laugh, cars hum, life unfolds with gentle predictability. A sudden gust of wind whips through the calm, stirring leaves and raising dust devils in a playful dance. A collective unease settles as heads turn toward the horizon, where the sky darkens ominously. A colossal war cloud rises, casting a long, dark shadow over the once bright streets of Ellington. The playful wind turns sinister, carrying with it the scent of rain and the weight of impending storm. Faces etched with worry, the townsfolk stand frozen, their peaceful day shattered by nature's looming threat. The tornado descends upon Ellington, Missouri, a ravenous vortex of swirling chaos. Witnesses recall a black wall, a horizontal knife slicing through the heart of the land. Homes are utterly pulverized, reduced to scattered debris in its merciless path. Wooden beams snap like fragile twigs, bowing to the tornado's overwhelming might. The earth is scraped clean, a raw wound left in the wake of destruction. A trail of devastation marks the tornado's passage, an unforgettable scar on the landscape. The tornado rampages through Gorham, a monstrous vortex of destruction unleashed upon the unsuspecting town. Teachers fight against the wind's fury, desperately guiding terrified children toward the safety of underground shelters. Stores crumble and shatter, their foundations no match for the twister's raw power. Debris transforms into deadly projectiles, a lethal storm of wood, metal, and shattered dreams. The air crackles with ominous energy as the tornado continues its relentless assault, leaving devastation in its wake. In the school basement, children huddle, fear etched on their faces. Above, the building shakes violently, groaning under immense pressure. The tornado's roar intensifies, a deafening symphony of destruction. Each child's wide eyes reflect the terror of the impending storm. The basement walls tremble, threatening to collapse around them. The air vibrates with the force of a dozen trains bearing down. A tranquil day in Murphysboro shatters as a monstrous tornado descends. Schools crumble, entombing innocent children within. Factories collapse into dust, their robust structures now mere debris. The tornado rampages, tearing homes apart, leaving paths of total devastation. In mere minutes, Murphysboro is leveled, a haunting landscape of rubble and despair. Factory walls crumble inward, a cataclysm of dust and debris engulfing the workers. Panic sets in as workers scramble, their desperate cries swallowed by the factory's destruction. The air thickens with choking dust, blurring the line between survival and oblivion. Screams of terror echo, a symphony of despair in the face of imminent danger. Amidst the chaos, glimpses of hope fade as the factory descends into a tomb of steel and concrete. Over West Frankfurt, a mile-wide darkness descends, swallowing the sun and silencing the world. Eyewitnesses recall a silent terror, a vacuum tearing apart homes and hopes with equal ease. The tornado leaves a trail of devastation, a stark reminder of nature's untamed power. The sky weeps as the storm moves on, leaving behind a landscape forever scarred. Deep in the earth, miners rhythmically strike coal seams, their world a dark symphony of labor. Unseen above, environmental devastation unfolds, a stark contrast to the miners' focused toil below. A tremor shakes the mine, dust rains down, a subtle warning ignored by those accustomed to the deep. The earth groans, a silent scream lost in the echo of pickaxes. Oblivious, the miners continue their work, unaware of the growing danger. A monstrous tornado descends on Griffin, Indiana, its vortex a swirling nightmare of destruction and despair. Homes are obliterated in an instant, splintering into fragments as the twister rages through neighborhoods. Trees are violently stripped bare, their branches turned into deadly projectiles by the merciless wind. Brick buildings crumble, reduced to mere piles of dust and rubble beneath the tornado's furious assault. In Griffin, Indiana, an eerie calm descends as the storm retreats, leaving a trail of devastation across the plains. Silence hangs heavy in the air, broken only by the mournful cries of the injured and the ominous crackle of distant fires. Smoke billows into the sky, painting a grim tableau of destruction against the backdrop of the ravaged landscape. The aftermath reveals a scene of desolation, where homes are reduced to rubble and lives are forever altered. Amidst the wreckage, survivors emerge, their faces etched with shock and grief, bearing witness to the storm's merciless power. Amidst ruins, a lone survivor stands, dust swirling in the desolate air. Hands trembling, they sift through the debris, a desperate search for what's lost. A voice, hoarse with anguish, echoes through the wasteland, calling out names. Broken belongings lie scattered, ghosts of a life violently uprooted. Each piece of rubble holds a memory, a painful reminder of what was. Despair hangs heavy, a suffocating shroud, over the destroyed home. Days later, the tri-state area is a panorama of ruin, dust, and smoke choking the air. Rescue teams move through a labyrinth of twisted metal and shattered concrete, their faces grim. Amidst the wreckage, the teams search for signs of life. The scope of the devastation is overwhelming. Apocalyptic, a rescue team member whispers the word lost in the silence of destruction. Sunlight streams across the graveyard, casting long shadows from weathered headstones. Old photos display streets that time has forgotten, homes now lost to memory. Faces of families, torn apart by unseen forces, stare out from faded images. The earth bears the scars of vanished homes, a silent testament to what was. Whispers of loss echo through the graveyard, carried on the wind. A poignant reminder, even in stone, the scars of the past remain. Across the vast Missouri farmland, spring paints the fields with vibrant greens, a stark contrast to the looming memories. In the Midwest, eyes turn to the horizon, haunted by the day the sky turned black, a day forever etched in memory. Whispers carry tales of nature's unrestrained power, a constant reminder of the world's fragility, a silent acknowledgement of the instant everything changed, a shared understanding among the heartland's inhabitants. The air is thick with unspoken stories of survival and resilience, woven into the fabric of the landscape. Beneath the serene surface of the spring day lies a deep respect for the forces that shape their lives.